Hi, so I thought I'd do an update this year on things that I've learned in the last year. So one of them is including fault brushes. So if you remember last year, I put together brushes where you had to add boxes or whatever symbol you're using along the way. In fact, you can actually make a brush that does it automatically for you. So here I'm going to show you how to do an inferred brush. So what you need to do is you need to get your dash lines and whatever symbol you wanted to choose. In this case, I'm going to do my boxes for my normal fault, which I've chosen to do. So you could either make a square, but here I'm just being lazy by copying the ones I did last year and using them because I know that they kind of work with this dash size. So here I am just tweaking it along with it and placing it where I want it to go. Then what I'm going to do is make sure it's in the center of the dash. It's not the most important thing to do at this stage, but it's good to kind of get it right from the beginning. So then I repeat this process and add on the rest of the boxes to the dash lines. Alternating it for every second dash is what I kind of chose to do. It's up to you what kind of intervals you want to do them to. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste the box that I've already made, just to ensure that my symbols are going to be the same size all the way along. And then I'll just repeat that and copy and paste them again. So one thing that's good to get used to is start using your keyboard for certain commands, such as using Command C for copy, Command Z for undo, things like that really kind of fasten things up and make it kind of a bit more efficient of your time. In order to find out a keyboard shortcut, you can simply just press File and drag C beside, such as copy. The keyboard shortcut will come up to the side, especially on Macs. I'm not quite sure about other computers, but that's kind of how it works best on Macs. Anyway, to get back to what I'm actually doing in this video, I'm just checking that the line is the same distance at the top as it would be between the dash and the empty space and the next dash. It's just to ensure that my line is going to come out the right interval once I've finished. So just tweaking it all the way down just to ensure that it's the same distance. And then what I'm going to do is simply start using the line. And this all makes sense why you're doing this again later. So you're using the line to draw a line all the way from the top of one dash to the bottom of another. And once you've done that once, you won't need to do that again because you've already got the distance. You just copy and paste that in. So I'm just trying to line it up with the dash beside it. And then I just file, copy, see all those options of the different shortcuts coming up to the side there. And then I just paste it in and align it up again. And I just repeat this all the way until they're all done. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to take the line fill out of that line and then take the dashes that I've created as individual lines and essentially put them in the place of where the line was before. So I'll just have to drag that across. Sometimes these things don't work first time. And then I'll take that little bottom one across as well. Then what I want to do is just check that those boxes, because I wasn't quite thorough enough at the beginning, are central to the dash. So I'm just going to do that. Oh, didn't mean to resize that there. So as some of you may notice, I've started with a dash with a box and ended with a dash without a box, and that's quite important. So I'm just double checking that they're all central because I wasn't happy with that one. And there you go. That's me got that. So I select all of that and I'll copy. And so Command C and then Command V for paste. And then I'll just make sure that that is exactly horizontal. And then I'll go to brushes, and then that little box down there means create a new brush. So brush pattern is what I want to select. And then I'm going to select these and do centered, auto-centered, and then original, and again on that third one, auto-centered. Trying to get there. Okay. And then just you want to probably rename your box. So I'm going to do normal inferred fault and then press OK. So the first time I did this, I completely panicked and thought I'd done it all wrong, but it's in fact because I've accidentally selected the dashes that I've just previously made. So what you want to do is select the pencil tool or the pen tool and just do a shape to double check it, and you'll see here that works perfectly. And if I want to do it the other way, so the boxes are on the other side of the line, I just start from the other end, and you can see that that worked quite nicely. Sorry, I think this video didn't record that so well. I'm just putting some red lines, but there you go. So if I want to replace the line that I did last time, for instance, don't worry, if you've selected dashes, it's going to look crazy, so you've just not got to deselect dashes. And then I'm just going to go through and delete all the boxes because that was a waste of time. So you can see that this line is actually quite nice. Some of the boxes aren't 100% rectangles, but they're clear enough and they're correct enough. They're not completely distorted and misshapen. Okay, so just to show you that the lines compare really well, they're actually even better than the dashes that I spent ages doing with boxes on separately, because they don't jump around if you move the line. Okay, so some of you might notice that if you replace a line with this new brush, it might actually shift left or right slightly. So in order to amend this, you'll have to drag the line into place to cover up the area and compensate for the slight movement. So you can go in and zoom in and double check that this has been done correctly. You'll see that where you've got contact, if it's offset for instance, that it should run more or less through the center of those dashes. So in this case it worked quite well. Okay, so we can return to that original dash line that we created earlier, deleting everything else that I scribbled all over the page of. So what I want to do is delete all those individual dash lines that I made earlier, but I want to keep the boxes because they are evenly spaced out at the same spacing that I had earlier. So now I'm going to make that line a solid red line, just trying to match what red I used before. And then I'm going to play around with the thickness of the line, just to see if it can be the same thickness as the rest of my lines. So you can double check that by clicking on other lines to see what centimeters or points, depending on what scale you're using. So once I've decided on a line thickness, I'll then select that line again and make sure that it's horizontal. So as you'll see in a moment, that this is really important. So again, I'll make a pattern brush, go through the same steps with it being auto-centered, and then it's original, and then auto-centered again, and I'll want to name it this time Observe Normal Fault. Okay, so that's fine, that's it created. And now when I try and draw, you'll see that again, it's not a problem. Make it all squiggly, I'm really going for it. And then the other way, just to show you that depending on what side you start drawing from, will dictate the side of the boxes. However, when I zoom in here, there is a gap and it's offset. And this is a result of the fact that I haven't made sure that that horizontal line, or mold that I first started using, was exactly horizontal. So I'll need to remake this brush with that line corrected to be exactly at 90 degrees. Okay, so it's super easy to fix this. Just select that whole line again, including the boxes, and just ensure that it is exactly at 90 degrees. So you can tweak from one end or the other and just make sure that it's exactly horizontal. Another easy way to check that is just to check, see those two green lines halfway through, one's the middle of the line and one's the overall shape. If those run parallel, then it should be that your line is horizontal and at 90 degrees. Okay, so make a new brush, then brush pattern. You'll want to rename it and do the adjustments like we did before. Okay, and create that brush. So you want to double check that there's not another offset like there was last time, and I'm really sorry if you got that the first time. It was really frustrating when I first realized that that happened, but it is easy to fix. So yeah, you can see that there's no offset or nothing that's noticeable enough for me to worry, and that is me fix that. So again, if you start from the other side, you'll get the dashes or whatever symbol you've used on the other side. And you can just delete that brush with the horrible offset, pretend it never happened. Great, and that's you all set. So this is really useful if you have lots of different faults. Again, if you've got different types of faults, you can put different symbols in depending on your mapping area. So that is you, and you should be able to now create different brushes depending on what faults you've got. Again, this is really just useful if you've got lots of faults. It kind of speeds things up for you. For instance, here I've got an inferred fault. If I just wanted to make it an observed fault, it's just one click. It's super easy to do and it's nice to be able to edit things in that way. So yeah, thanks to undergraduate that pointed that one out last year. And on that note, if any of you do find any tips and tricks that I've not pointed out, it would be great to know and great to hear about them. Anyway, I hope this helped, so thanks.